Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of the I Don't Know Show. It is harmless, bad opinions that you can fall asleep to safely. This is the first episode of the show, and this is the initial format. Um, I'm gonna let this music come to an end as I am my own engineer, you know what I mean? And we're still working it out, but we're gonna slow the music down to nothing. Start that bad boy off. Okay, so welcome to the I Don't Know Show with me, Dante Maddox, on the Dante Maddox channel. My levels are looking good, so I'm hoping this works out. Um, the format of the show is, of course, again, terrible opinions on various topics that you can fall asleep to safely, and we'll be doing this every night, Monday through Friday, at 1 a.m. Central Standard Time. So since this is the first episode, I guess we'll go with who am I? You know, my name is Dante Maddox. Now, I learned something today that my name is kind of Dante Maddox. Technically speaking, I'm a four name person. You know, I have four names, but and I've always known that. But there was always a bit of dispute as to like how those names were ordered. you know. But when I think about my siblings and my mom, it all kind of makes sense. So I got four names: Dante Ryan Johnson Maddox. And for a long time, I thought that my middle name was hyphenated Ryan Johnson, but it's not. It's actually no hyphenation. And my first name is Dante Ryan, like two first names, like Billy Joe or whatever. And so my middle name is Johnson, which I've never gone by. My last name being Maddox. And it's a long story as to why that is, but there's also like a commonality. My brother has a similar setup, so does my sister and my mom. But none of us, well, my mom does a little bit, go by or called a two name thing. Like, no. Like, even if maybe like you were in trouble. But yeah, so um, 10 years ago, I wrote for a entertainment website. I did some movie and comic book reviews, did some interviews. Um, that came to an end in like 2011, and it's been sort of a normal life since then. I mean, uh, there's probably more or less to it than that, but that's the gist. Coming out of the experience, I no longer had a taste for some of it, but there were aspects of being a creative that I did enjoy, and that almost, led me to here and to this sort of environment. Um, this show is sort of like a natural progression of how I've approached, YouTube um, recently, and it's like I've been following a couple new, or not new YouTubers for YouTube, but new for me. People who I'm discovering thanks to approaching YouTube from a different perspective, like watching it on television and it kind of replacing flipping the channels in a lot of ways. And so um, this radio show, for lack of a better term, because I have a podcast on Spotify because you can't not have it on Spotify if you have a podcast, Um, and maybe I'll link to it to check it out. It's not that good. I had a hard time with the editing process. But this is my first go round. I got a Spotify. I got a podcast planned for the future as well. And that might come up this episode. This episode is everything I'm doing is organized but unscripted. So I have a rough plan of how I think I want things to go, and while the goal isn't to, I don't know, blow up with this particular endeavor. The point is to increase my ability to communicate clearly, to get a point across, to organize my thoughts. It's been a long time since I was in like an organized education, and maybe I'm a little rusty, but I just felt like my ability to kind of mix it up with the outside world in a way that is productive has gotten diminished in some way. And I spend too much time kind of cooped up a little bit, to be honest, those two things together. And, as we go through, we'll talk about more stuff as to my background and why I decided to do this particular show. But it's a go to sleep show. The idea is I feel like there's way too much certainty in this world, and someone is always trying to sell you something. But at the end of the night, when it's all said and done, you just want to put all that stuff aside and go to sleep. I have some seriously in the minority opinions that